And this is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. We're based at Squadron 135 in White Plains, New York. And we have a special guest today, and that is a three-time Super Bowl champion, a graduate of Brigham Young University, who is now president of the NFL Alumni Association, and that is Bart Oates. Bart, good to talk with you today.
Ken, good to be here.
Pleasure. Now, just a quick thought. The college season we've been following for a couple of weeks. Army got a couple of games in. Unfortunately, the game this weekend against your school, Brigham Young University, had to be postponed. The NFL season seemed to get off to a good start. How do you think how has football handled the COVID-19 pandemic, do you think?
Oh, well, I think fortunately they had baseball and basketball, hockey to learn from, and so I think they've done a pretty as good a job as they can. Obviously there's been some hot spots, and the game this weekend's not being played because some of the BYU guys got tested positive. But I think overall good.
Very good. Well, tell us a little bit about your organization. We've had the chance to go to one of your events a couple of years ago in New Jersey. You've been very active on the COVID epidemic for athletes. You've got a number of health and wellness programs for NFL players, and you've got a number of programs for communities and children that you reach out for. Just tell us about some of the major activities of the NFL Alumni Association.
Well, we have two major missions. One is caring for kids, and the other is caring for our own. Caring for our own is where you mentioned we have benefits. We have different relationships that will provide health and wellness benefits and transitional benefits and just fun benefits for the former players. And so we are constantly looking for those partnerships and looking for the to help the players live more productive and more fulfilling post-playing career lives. And then we have 37 chapters around the country that will work with local charities to help raise awareness and raise funds for local causes that the members themselves have a passion for.
And I understand that it's not just alumni of the NFL who can participate in this, but those associated with the sport, and also fans who are interested, who are fans of some of the teams. Tell us a little bit about some of the ways that different players, but also fans, can get involved with your organization.
So we have the players. This is a player organization. It's our presidents and vice presidents and leadership. Our board of directors are all former players. That's in our bylaws. However, we invite anybody that wants to support the missions of caring for our own and caring for kids to join. We have an associate membership. We have for any individual that would say, I want to be part of that organization and help out and support. We have enterprise memberships for businesses that can become official partners, official members of the NFL alumni. So we have we're very inclusive and invite anybody that wishes to be part of the organization and support it to do so.
And I understand that one of your initiatives this year is in working with obesity, trying to get people to be more active and to be able to lower their weight and be more aware of that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the whole idea is that we're going to run a campaign. We're going to officially kick it off here in a couple of weeks. We're working very closely with Novo Nordisk to support this message, but we feel as an organization that many of our members struggle with weight management, and there's a lot of real positive messages, a lot of negative stuff out there, and we want to kind of separate it and make this a positive message about, guys, whatever your body, your body mass is, whatever your you might have, your issues might be, that there's a solution and there's support, and it's not so much look at the immediacy of it. It's the long term, and look at the what is it from a wellness standpoint, and take away some of the shame, take away some of the negativity to the discussion about weight loss and lack of control, lack of willpower, but turn that to saying, hey, there's support out here. There's, you're not the only one, and this is not something that's unique. And so we just create a positive message more than anything about weight management to motivate people to say, all right, listen, this is I'm into this for the long term. There's not just a short-term fix.
One of the things that's very noticeable about your career, Bart, is how your longevity. You played 125 consecutive games at one point, 172 games in the NFL, 15 playoff games, and before that, you played 3 seasons in the World Football League. We often talk to USFL. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about how you were able to maintain your physical well-being to be able to play that long in the NFL.
Yeah, listen, I was blessed. There's guys that work hard or harder than I did in the off season that just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and guy with a helmet, guy slips, and suddenly they've got a blown out ankle, they got a blown out knee, and I was blessed. I quite honestly, I can't say it was anything I did other than I worked hard like a lot of other people.
And the other thing that's very noticeable, and we do a lot of work with veterans who transition from the military into civilian life, is you went out and got a law degree in the off season at Seton Hall University. And so you were thinking well ahead about what you wanted to do, has led to a legal career and your current role with the NFL Players Association. What did it take to be able to play football and then go to law school in the off season and when you had spare time?
I had the time. Well, great thing about football is you have a very long off season. Even if you make the playoffs, you have 6 months off. Today you have your OTAs and there's a little bit more required, but I would get a full semester in during the off season. Usually I'd get a full semester and then another half semester. So it took me about 5 years once I started law school to matriculate through. And it was just something I did. Instead of working during the off season, I went to law school. I was kind of a nerdy guy, so I liked studying books. It interested me, and it was fun intellectually just to challenge myself in that capacity.
Well, certainly that was an extraordinary thing that you were able to do, and we encourage athletes to try to go and get advanced degrees while they can, especially like online. Now, one of the things that the first time we met you was back in 2012, August 30th, at the Jefferson Library at the U.S. Military Academy, when the U.S. Army and the National Football League came together. Their senior leadership, General Ray Odierno, the Chief of Staff of the United States Army, and Roger Goodell, the Commissioner of the NFL, led a seminar with representatives of the Army and representatives of the NFL. You were there, one of the speakers, and another NFL player, Tony Vincent, was there. And you talked about really the similarities between football injuries and Army injuries and the need to develop awareness in both organizations of concussions, the need to identify them and to treat them. What are some of your memories of that event?
Listen, just the immense respect I have and the reverence for those individuals who've committed themselves to serving this country, and the awe of being at West Point. West Point, particularly in the fall, it's one of the most special places that I've ever been to, and I think it has a lot to do with just what it really stands for, right there on the Hudson River, and the historic buildings that surround you, and the energy of the cadets. Just that I remember the most of. Today, I think that kind of predated a lot of the things that have gone on since then, the last 8 years, with the NFL and concussions. But it doesn't change the fact that and we play a game, and yes, there's some guys that suffer some long-term effects from it, but by no means, so much more so is that risk of of these young men and women who are serving in very dangerous conditions, and the injuries that they suffer.
And that day there were about 100 cadets attending the seminar, many of whom were athletes, all with their white shirts on and their summer dress uniforms, and listening intently. And the moderator asked the group, "How many of you believe you've had a concussion?" And most of them raised their hands. I would say 2/3, 3/4. Then he said, "How many of you were treated for those concussions?" And most of them, the cadets, dropped their hands. Only a small number had their hands up. And
Yeah.
it was obvious that there was not awareness of the need to treat concussions, perhaps when those cadets were in high school 10, 12 years ago. But I think there really is today. I think awareness has really been built. Obviously, the word concussion protocol is now a staple in the language. What was your thought about building awareness, at all levels of athletics for the need to identify and treat concussion injuries?
Well, listen, it's gone the right way. A lot of knowledge, and I think that when I was playing 80s and 90s, the coaches they made the decisions and whether or not a player should play or not. And now it's run by the medical staff, and they tell the coach, "Hey, this guy should not be in there, and he's not going to go in there." Coaches have come around, and so I think the whole transition is gone the right way, and players are being better protected today than they were in recent memory.
And talking with Bart Oates, president of the NFL Alumni Association. And Bart, when we were at the event at West Point in 2012, there were a number of soldiers there who described receiving concussions from just being near blasts from different howitzer mortars, things they faced, the explosions along the roadways. What was your impression when you listened to the soldiers about the similarities that they were receiving in concussions and not always being able to treat them? The sergeant there that day described that he knew one situation during a battle that he knew he had received a concussion, but he couldn't leave because he knew he had to take care of his soldiers in that situation. What did you remember hearing about what the soldiers said about concussion injuries and in many ways the similarities to football injuries?
Well, first, there's some vague similarities. We get hit in the head, and some of us get concussions, and then there's long-term effects of CTE. But we're not putting our lives at risk. I think I remember most vividly just thinking that how do we even compare the things I did and risk, right, the head injuries, et cetera, to what these people, these heroes are doing. And so just realizing that there was just a vast difference between my issue versus what the military has. And then in any way that we could be supportive and help bring attention to this issue and help find solutions and better treatment options. And that's where that I particularly felt that we could add value.
And it seemed like from that time in 2012, there's been tremendous awareness built of the need to identify concussions when they happen in sports and with soldiers, and then also to make sure that there is adequate treatment. The words concussion protocol are now part of our language and athletic culture. What do you see having evolved over the last 7 or 8 years that has really built awareness and treatment opportunities for those in athletics who have had concussions?
I think there's a lot more attention. There's more studies. We're working on some studies just with the NFL alumni and help supporting different initiatives that are going to find better solutions and take away the subjectivity and bring it, meaning that today when someone says they have a concussion, it's really just a doctor going, "I think he has a concussion." They don't really have any objective data going, "Hey, here's a blood test. This is why you have these markers," and you have, but there are those types of things that are being done, created, that would allow us to have a much better understanding and grasp of what this means, how the severity of it, what the treatment options are, doing it quicker to so that it's not as severe and long lasting. And so those are the types of things that we're involved with anyway. That's trying to find those solutions.
Absolutely, so important. Now, there have been some efforts and some discussion about how to make football a bit safer. I mean, USA Football has had a series of seminars on proper tackling technique. There have been improvements in helmets. There have been some changes in rules. The targeting rule in college has been debated, but it seems to be limiting helmet-to-helmet hits. And then some have said, maybe eliminating kickoffs might be something that would make football safer.
Why don't we just go touch? We eliminate the tackle part of it, and then we can just go touch football all the way through. Listen, football it's a contact game. That's what it's meant to be. It's going to be. If there are those who are concerned, and is it? Yes, but to try to legislate that you're not going to have any you're not going to have head injuries is naive. You're going to. It's just part of that process. Just like listen, you get up in the morning, you have the risk that you're going to have something happen to you. And you get hit by a car, or you have a head injury. There's a risk. There's a risk in that. But in football, yeah, there is that risk. I think they've done a great job in minimizing that risk. These rule changes and the targeting, as you mentioned. Kickoffs, yeah, I suppose you could do that. I'm kind of a purist, so I like to see that. I like that part of the game. But if that's going to make it more acceptable, and if that's going to save some guys that otherwise would have serious injuries, then I would support that.
Well, certainly, all of us who follow the game, I have the privilege of covering the game at West Point the last 10, 12 years. We enjoy seeing, we always want to see, as Jeff Munkham, the head football coach, was saying, he hates to see injuries. And so we're always trying to see if there's ways to make it safer. Bart Oates, tell us what's upcoming for the NFL Alumni Association this year. Obviously, more work tracking the COVID-19 situation, and you have other outreach efforts. What else is coming up for the NFL Alumni Association this year?
We have some great partners that recently we've been able to affiliate ourselves with that have different COVID solutions. I think would be good for NFL as well as other sports programs that we're sharing with those organizations. We have, again, it's continuing that caring for our own as far as providing benefits. We've just recently, which is a great, I mean, not everybody's a golfer, but we have a lot of guys that love to golf. So we were able to create a relationship with Golf Tech. Golf Tech will provide our members with our player members with free lessons, and so it's just things like that. That's where they like, okay, that's cool. I want to improve my golf game, and here's a way they go to professionals and sit there and get these free lessons and improve their game, so that when they're out there on the golf course, they're able to be somewhat competitive, because anyone that played the game is competitive, and so they don't want to go out there and stink it up. They want to. And they know what it takes to get better. You just got to practice. So we're just doing those types of things, and others like it, and creating relationships with organizations, with companies, and with individuals that are supportive of that mission.
Very good. Well, Bart Oates, we sure appreciate your time and chance to chat once again. A three-time Super Bowl champion, 2 with the Giants, 1 with the San Francisco 49ers. A lawyer, went to Seton Hall Law School, graduate of Brigham Young University. Really, thank you, and now president of the NFL Alumni Association. Really good to talk with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Good to reconnect.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. We're based at Squadron 135 in White Plains, New York. And thank you again to our guest today, Bart Oates. This is Ken Kraetzer. Have a good rest of the day.